Hey everybody, welcome back to the Race 5 Smokehouse and Grill, and today we are taking this beautiful 2.5 pound chuck roast and we are cooking it direct heat style on the Weber Smokey Mountain. Let's go! So I've recently done a couple videos using the Weber Smokey Mountain more as a direct heat cooker, where you take the water bowl out or the fire dial out and you just let those coals cook and the heat rise, and there's nothing in between the meat and the heat. That's why we call it direct cooking, because there's nothing to displace the heat around it. It's just going straight up, and those juices that cook go straight down and hit the coals and give some great flavor onto the meat. So we recently got a request from Matt Jones to do a chuck roast direct heat style on the Weber Smokey Mountain, so that's what we're going to do today. We have a 2.5 pound chuck roast, and the first thing we're going to do is season this bad boy up. And today all we're using are 3 simple ingredients: kosher salt, coarse black pepper, and some Lawry seasoned salt. So let's get this seasoned up. Nice liberal amount of salt, because it is a thicker, bigger hunk of meat, so it can take it. Some coarse black pepper. This will help with the bark along with the flavor. Kind of seems like a lot, but trust me, during the cooking process that pepper really mellows out. And then the Lawry season on top. Now we're going to do this to both sides and the outsides. Try to use what you can that's spilled over on your plate or your cutting board or whatever you're using. Chuck roast is seasoned up. We're gonna let this rub really stick to the meat here and let it sit out here for about 15-20 minutes while we get the Weber Smokey Mountain fired up. Today we're using Jealous Devil lump charcoal. We're gonna start with a bed of unlit coals. Then we're gonna add some wood chunks in there. We're using both hickory and cherry today. And then we're gonna take a small lit chimney and dump it right in the center. And that's gonna give us a long, slow burn as it burns through the fuel. We're gonna put this back together, get the top back on. And as you can see inside there, we have nothing in between the charcoal and the grate. So we're going to close this up, let it get to temperature, and then get the chuck roast on the grill. Grill's fired up. We have it rocking around 300 degrees right now. We have the top vent open about 1/3 of the way. The bottom vent's open about 1/4 of the way. Cooking direct heat inherently is going to cook a little hotter and a little faster. We're going to check this a little more frequently than we typically do with a chuck roast cook, just to make sure that bottom's not getting burnt up or anything is getting too hot. This is ready to go. Let's get this chuck roast on the grill. We open it up, put the meat on, close it right back down. With direct heat, if you keep that lid open too much or you're checking all the time, all that extra oxygen is going to lead to more combustion of your fuel, which could really spike the temps up and get you out of control and get you to burning some meat. So we really do want to keep that closed as much as possible while still checking it. So that's the fine line you're going to take when you're doing direct heat cooking. We're going to come back in an hour, check this out, see if we need to flip it, see if there's anything we need to do with it, maybe give it a spritz, a rotate. We'll see when we come back in about an hour. We're 1 hour in, time to go check this chuck roast. It's been hovering right around 325, 330, so a little hotter temp, but that's expected. There's nothing to regulate the heat besides the vents. Maybe I could have used a little less lit charcoal to start, and that would have helped, but let's go take a look, see how this is going. It is looking very nice. But you can see that backside is definitely cooking quicker. So we're gonna go ahead and give her a flip. It is looking very good though. So that definitely needed to be flipped. I could feel that bottom definitely taking that heat. It's gonna cook a lot quicker. I might need to flip this a couple times, which is okay. This is a different method of cooking with that direct heat. You need to be more aware of the meat and what it's telling you. So that bottom side was getting a little hotter than the top side, so we'll flip it, try to keep that cooking nice and even. So we're gonna come back in about another 45 minutes or so and see how the chuck roast is doing. Been another hour of cooking, so it's about 2 hours total. We flipped it after 1 hour. We're gonna go check again now after 2 hours. Gonna hit it with a spritz, give it another flip, and we're gonna keep rotating it until it's time to wrap it. So let's go take a look. Doesn't even really need a spritz from what I'm seeing here. We got a lot of nice juices in here, but we're still gonna go ahead, give it a flip. It smells amazing. You can see some of this fat that's in between the meat here is getting a little crusty on there. It's rendering nice. You could hear it dripping down there, and that smell is amazing. So again, a quick open spritz, a little bit extra time open just because we're filming this, but you want to get in there and get out of there so the temp doesn't spike on you. But it's looking great and smelling great. I'm really happy with this. I was a little concerned about doing beef this way because it's going to be a longer cook compared to chicken or the pork steaks. We're gonna let her keep rolling every hour or so. We're gonna come back, give it a spritz, give it a flip, give it a rotate, and we'll end up wrapping it when we get the color we're looking for. So we'll be back in a little bit. Roughly 3 hours in, we're gonna take another quick look. I'm gonna start probing the meat for temperature, see if it's ready to get wrapped up. So let's go probe this meat. This is looking delicious. So let's give it some temp probes. We're gonna go in the center here, see where we're at. 166, 170s, up to 180. Time to get wrapped. We have that center temperature right where we want it. It's looking really, really good. We're gonna pull it off, wrap it, and let it finish. We're gonna let that internal temperature get to right around 200 till it's probe tender, let it rest, and then we're gonna slice it up and try it. So let's get this off, wrap, back on. Chuck roast is done. It only took about 3 hours with this method, and then we let it rest about an hour and a half in a cooler. So now it's time to open this up and give it a slice and taste it. Chuck is looking great. Now it's time to slice into it and give her a taste. Oh man, super tender. When we pulled this, it was up there around 200 to 210, a little higher in some areas. So this is super, super tender. Wow. All right, let's take one of these inside pieces. Look at that, nice and tender. Perfect. Wow. One of my favorite cuts of meat to smoke is chuck roast. Doing it this method was great. I was a little concerned thinking that it might burn up, might dry out a little bit. It really didn't, but I think the key is to keeping that temp down as much as you can, which we hovered between 300 and 330 for this cook, but it blew through the stall, everything, which is great because typically a chuck roast takes many hours. A 2.5 chuck roast would probably take me 6-7 hours typically. This was done in 3, and it tastes fantastic. Still got some great smoke flavor from the wood we put on there. Great secondary flavor from the smoke, from the drippings that hit the coals and then give another flavor that gets imparted in here. On top of that great seasoning, salt and pepper with beef is perfect. Definitely try this out if you have a Weber Smokey Mountain. I'm really starting to see why people like their drum smokers, so I might have to look into some drum smokers coming up. Anyhow, if you like what we did here, give me a thumbs up, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, follow me on social media, and we'll talk to you all soon. Take care, everybody. Peace.